If we go specifically to our type of architecture, we are creating a dialogue from not only in the micro from that particular golf hole that you're playing, but also in the macro, what we like to call a carousel of emotions. It's an 18-chapter book where it has the plot, the rising action. We like to design with all of that in mind. So when you're playing one hole, it creates a dialogue with your strategy. But when you're playing the whole golf course, it's going to have these emotional up and downs. It's not only the story of a golf hole, par 3, par 4, par 5, heroic, strategic, penal. It's what the whole storyline of playing 1 through 18 is also going to tell you.
Hello, this is Royce Kossoff from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I play golf at McCall Golf Club. This is Golf Smarter, episode 936.
Course design should take the golfer through a carousel of emotions with architect Augie Piza.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Augie.
Hello, Fred. Excited to be here as always. Great to see you.
It's great to have you back. It's been almost exactly a year since the last time you were on, and we learned so much from you. I just couldn't wait to do this again. I was looking at your website. What is the Piza effect?
Well, the Piza effect is something like we like to call of when we have a saying in our practice, which is the passion begins when you live the experience. So when you sign up with us for us and to work together in collaboration with a giving development, we firmly and strongly believe that our clients live an experience, a unique experience throughout the process of design. So it's not just the turning in the end product. It is about the journey. It is about the Piza effect, which gives you that opportunity to live live your passion. So the passion begins when you live the experience with Piza Golf.
Okay, well, thank you for correcting me on how to pronounce it.
It's Piza, yeah.
Piza.
It has a little line on the A, so it's Piza.
Piza.
But I know. I mean, I understand that
when it gets anglicized,
there's no signage, so it's Piza.
Yeah, when it gets anglicized, it says, "Hey, what's pizza?"
Yeah. we're not as good as a pizza. There's only one Z, not two.
But we're trying. We're trying for that extra Z. So as a golf course architect, and I love to try to get into the head of golf course architects. As an amateur golfer, I don't think that we appreciate what an architect does and how we as amateur golfers can take advantage of it when we step up to the first tee. What we should be looking at, how we should be looking at it. And I would love to be able to use the language of an course architect.
Well, that's a good one, Fred, because at the end, it's not an intention to add to your swing thoughts, no?
Exactly.
We have enough already, especially as us amateurs going out there. It's like we're already thinking of 63 things to think about just on our backswing. But I would say this: it all depends where you're playing, Fred, because it depends on who was involved, who designed it, and to what intention. It all depends on the why, and that is something, again, going back to the Piza effect. To this process, it starts with the why. So the first thing you need to understand as a golfer out there who's on the first tee is: am I playing a player's course? Am I playing a resort course? Am I playing a parkland course? Am I playing a public course? Am I playing a private? All of these, that's the first thing that we need to understand. Okay, so when you're out there saying, "Oh, this was very easy and very, 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 it doesn't have a lot of character." Well, maybe it's a resort course that is designed for the super average golfer to break 100. Yes. If it's a player's course, then it's going to ask you for some shots. It's going to be designed completely different. You know, a TPC Sawgrass, a private golf community where their average handicap could be 12, a player's course country club, or a resort where you expect people to be 26, 28 to come and play the course. So that's the first thing that we need to find out is what are you playing in order to at least critique it or try and decipher what you should be out there looking at. So once you find that out, then you can look at different features, different aspects, angles of attack, etc. And as we know, golf course, a well-designed golf course should be played or planned from backwards, yes, where you want your first shot to land in regards to the second in relationship to the flag. So it depends on to what level you want to take it. But the first thing that I would recommend is to find out what are you playing and what was the intention of that design before you go off and critique and any designer.
But when you say go start from the back forward, you're talking about start your view from the green going back to the tee.
Yes, if you're out there on the first tee or you're out there at the clubhouse trying to decipher the golf, what the architect is trying to communicate with you, look at the golf course from the back to the front. If it's a short par 4 and your go-to yardage is 145, okay, where should I put my driver or my initial shot so that I can have that area around 145 and I have my money shot at 145 to hit that green. So if it's like I said, if it's a short par 4 of 350, 375, and you hit a nice driver, then you're going to be let's say you hit a 250 yard driver, you're at 150. So that's your perfect point for a 400 yard. But if it's a 350, 370 yard par 4, then maybe you should tee off with a 3-wood if your money shot is at 143, or if you're there's a million combinations, but it all depends on your game, on the person's game. And once you're at that level of golf where you know your game and you know what your money shot is, and you're confident and you're there and you're gonna flush it and that ball's gonna hit like a dart on the green. That's why I mean that you should, or you can plan at that level. You can plan to play the golf course from the green to the tee, so that you know exactly where you want your ball for your money shot. Par 5, the same thing. Par 5, okay, my money shot is 120. So what does it take to put my ball in 2 shots at that 120? Because I know that I'm going to hit a dart there from that 120 on money, and I can birdie this thing. So, if you're just hitting it and just thinking, hey, it just landed on the fairway, fair enough. But in order to take your golf to the next level in reading the golf course, that's what you should do. That's what I recommend, because you're going to have creeks, you're going to have bunkering. If you have a proper design, you should always read it from the back to the front.
And it's that second shot that we're setting up that where the challenge really begins, or does it really begin at the tee box?
No, it should begin. If we go specifically to our type of architecture, we are creating a dialogue from not only in the micro from that particular golf hole that you're playing, but also in the macro with what we like to call our treasure maps. You're going to be on hole number 1. Then we create what in a musical band would say, this is our set list for our concert tonight. how's that going to change? Well, it depends on if we're what are we going to play tonight? So it's the same. They're going to take you in what we like to call a carousel of emotions. So they're going to take you. They're going to start either with a bang, or they're going to start softly, or they're going to whatever they are going to manipulate per se the audience. It's something similar that we like to do with our golf courses from 1 to 18. It's an 18 chapter book per se, or a nice or a nice play, or a nice theater, or where it has the plot, the rising action. We like to design with all of that in mind. So when you're playing one hole, it creates a dialogue with your strategy. But when you're playing the whole golf course, it's going to have these up and downs, emotional up and downs. At some point, we're going to take a shot off of you. We're going to really challenge you. But maybe the third hole, it's going to be like, oh, hey, it's wide open. It's there for the taking. There's no bunkers. If I don't score here, then we can't do much about that one. So, but that's how we like to design. It's not only the story within the frame of a golf hole, par 3, par 4, par 5, heroic, strategic, penal. It's what the whole storyline of playing 1 through 18 is also going to tell you.
Oh my gosh, I have so many more questions just based on that answer, and we're going to deal with that, but I need to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Now I'm really concerned. Where am I going to go with this? Because I had so many questions that I wanted to ask you about, but let's keep talking about when you're designing for amateur play. Okay. But do holes get more complicated in design? Like where do you want to put your number 1 handicap or your number 18 handicap, which is supposed to tell the golfer when they're looking at their scorecard, oh, this is going to be the most difficult hole on the course, is your number 1. And, or if you're on the other side, it's number 2 could be even, I don't know, how do they decide which one's 1 through the odd numbers and which ones are the even numbers? But in your design, how do you determine, is it the geography that dictates what is going to be your number 1 and your number 18 handicap holes?
Yes. Well, there's a lot of factors.
Sure.
But the brief is the number 1. What do we want to achieve? Again, is it a player's course? Is it a resort course? Is it a members course? What's the average handicap? All of that.
Okay. So it just all depends.
Yes.
And so when you say a player's course, that means a course you're designing that's going to be on the tour?
It could be on the tour. I mean, not necessarily, because that all depends on the client and their, what they want to create for their project. But it means that it's going to challenge the player.
I see.
It means that we are designing for the not necessarily for the top players in the world, and now that could be in the brief, like what happened at TPC Sawgrass. Hey, we want to challenge the top players in the world. Then that's what Pete Dye did very fantastically well on that course. But that was a brief. That's what he was there to try and make the player's life miserable in that particular time. So, and it's worked to perfection. It's one of the most intriguing non-majors, sad to say, out there. So, but it's a terrific course. So it all depends on what are the needs of the place. Because if you're looking at now, let's say that we do create a world-class tournament. Now it's a different ballgame, because now we have to create areas for television, for everything that goes with bringing a huge production of hospitalities, et cetera,
merchandise,
bleachers, et cetera, merchandising, et cetera. Yes. So that's a whole different ballgame now.
Wow.
A player's course at the regular level that we're talking about is a challenging course. It's a character course. It's a long course, and but obviously, and made for players. So you're not going to be able to spray it if you don't hit 120 feet wide landing areas. Then it's not a golf course made for that golfer.
When you said intriguing, did you mean from? Let me ask it this way: whose perspective are you talking about when you say intriguing?
Well, we like to design for the end user in mind, and that is having the brief, the projections, the business plan, everything set, the market, et cetera, everything set so that we can come and interpret that and create the best golf development for that brief. So that is the important aspect of anything you create. I mean, I'm not inventing anything. This is, if you want to build your house, you need to be in good terms with the wife, because we're going to be there. What do you want? What do you need? What are your needs? What would you like? How would you like the house to flow? Right. Oh, I like this. I want my man cave right here in the center. Well, put it over there in the garage. Mm-hmm. I mean, just with that, if you're not in syntony with, if there's no synergy with that in that aspect, then we're just there kind of like going, okay, so what do we want?
This
here?
is going to take a while before we have a plan that anybody likes.
Yeah, but obviously we come in and suggest and gives our, sometimes we have those projects where it's, hey, what do you guys recommend? What do you see here? Well, we see this, we see that, but let's address this side to make sure that we're in the right direction, and we will create that creative, the why for the client as well.
Okay. What do you think the percentage of your clients, I'm not going to talk about the industry, but if your clients come and say, I want a player's course, and I want this to eventually, I would love for this to be on the tour?
That for us on the tour, you not always. You sometimes, let's say that two out of 10 golf courses that you're kind of like, visualizing and creating the visual aspect and the why, it is like, hey, we are open for some sort of tour. Either, I mean, this could be all the way from the WGC, all the way down, or what was the WGC, the World Golf Championship, just as an example, or even the LAC, the Latin American Amateur Championship or stuff like that. And for our Latin American, for our projects that are in Latin America, sometimes they do think about, hey, I would love to host a LAC. Well, I mean, these guys, they're amateurs, but I mean, the distance now from that level to the tour level, it's college level. It's been it's getting closer. It's getting closer. That's what's been happening in the past. In the past, probably 7 to 10 years. That gap is not as, you see more amateurs making the cuts. You see more amateurs. I mean, the amateur who just won this year, so. That gap is getting closer. It's not like it's the amateur, let him participate. No, he's there to compete, and that's the beauty of what's happening. One of the beauties that's what's happening in golf right now, or at least in competitive golf.
Well, as we learned last week, our guest John Marshall I think it was John Marshall who was talking about how the gap between a scratch golfer and an 18 handicap is closer than scratch golf to a tour player.
Well, that's a different perspective. That's another thing.
Would you agree with that? I mean, especially from your perspective?
I don't know the facts, but if I had to bet on that, I would say yes.
Okay.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Because I can go out right now and play with a scratch golfer, a regular street scratch golfer, like a buddy of mine that's zero or whatever.
Right.
Because at the end it's their index is 0, 0, 0, 0, whatever it is, but you know that you can go out there and they're going to still make a lot of mistakes. You're going to have fun, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is with the scratch golfers that think that they can be in the tour. And that's the problem. When you have that attitude mixed, I'm like, oh man, come on, man. Just to try and qualify, you need to be a +6, like on a regular, like a consistent basis. You need to be a +6. So don't give me that you're close. Definitely the scratch golfer to the level of the tour player. I believe that it's longer than the other one that you mentioned on a regular 18 handicap.
Well, I mean, like I have a single digit index, but I also play a slope of 125, 122 in there. And you put me on a course that's got a slope of a 133, a 135, I'm shooting in the 90s. And that's why I play the white tees.
Yes.
I don't see a reason to make golf any harder than it already is. So we know. So sure, I'll play the white tees.
Well, it's golf is one of the oldest ways to commit masochism in the world. So
watch it.
So hey, it's a full on suffering out there. We love to suffer. We love it out there. And I still have to meet, Fred, a golfer that is happy with their golf game at any level. Any level.
I've known one. I had a barber who said, "Oh yeah, I'm a good golfer." I've never met another person who says, "Yep, I'm a good golfer." Rest his soul. All right, another timeout. We'll be right back. Last time that we talked, you introduced a concept that I was absolutely blown out by in the butterfly design. Can you give us an update on that and explain it first for those who didn't get the chance to hear it last time, and also any updates, because I love it.
Well, thanks for asking, Fred. Yes, we are. We've been described as concept creators, so it's not the only concept that we have designed. I've been creating concepts, since 2017. That I think that we've really created a lot of concepts that are now known. But the butterfly golf is a 4 loop of 9. So just imagine a butterfly, body where the center is the body of the butterfly, where the center of gravity, the 4 loops come back to that center of gravity. So when you're playing an 18-hole golf course, you only need 3 of the wings, because there's 3 loops of 6, and there's always one that's free. So with that said, if you can create all sorts of combinations that are really permutations, because you don't care where hole number 1 is. So if it's 1 through 6 on each one to add 18, you can play, route A. Let's say that the routes are A, B, and C, and D. So you can play A, B, and C, and then A, C, and B, and then A, B, and D, and then A, C, and D, A, D, and C. There for each letter, there's 6 different combinations. So you're playing 24 combinations. So to cut a long story short, it is in 24 days that you could be there on this resort or whatever. In 24 days, you will not repeat the same routing. And you will be able to play an 18-hole par 70, par 71, or par 72, depending on the combination that you played. And 6 holes will always be open to social gatherings or conventions, etc. And also, this is a kind of like a school yard for all sorts of levels, because joining the inside of this concept design, it's also, we take there will be 6 holes that are catered to beginners, like 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds that have their extra tee and that have that strategy just for them. But obviously, you can use it on a regular golf course. But these are things that we are thinking of creating in one of our projects. Another 6 would be catered to the best female golfers. Yes, that speaking of second shots, that's where the problem is. It's not just cutting the tee box to whatever yardage is. It's what's their angle of trajectory and attack on the green when they're 180 yards away or 220 on a short par 5. That's the difference in that angle from the gentleman players to the female players. There's a lot of change in the trajectory of the ball. So the golf course needs to be designed in a different way to catch or to attract or to lure these players into going for it and getting it on the green. So all of these things is what we factor into butterfly golf. I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but I think that I have an explanatory video now.
Oh,
so
good.
I'm going to send it to you, and maybe it can be part of the edition.
Oh yeah, no, I'll definitely link to it. We'll definitely link to
super.
it on the show notes. No question. So I just love the idea because I've always loved the idea of round, 6-hole increments versus 9-hole increments.
Yes.
And so it makes so much sense. And then by adding that 4th loop, I would think that the maintenance people would absolutely love this concept.
That is another thing. It's for maintenance. It's for experimenting if you want. It's maintenance. It's that if you're conscious of time, you can play. If you're there for a week, you can play 6 holes, 4 days, and you'll play a different hole. Obviously, you can, depending on operations, because this all depends on how busy the day is or the season is. But you would be able to operate, having a 9-hole loop, a 12-hole loop, a 6-hole loop, and so all of that can be mixed. It's a multi-use area that would depend on what you and your customers want to live as an experience in the butterfly golf.
And would it work with this concept? You hope work for any type of course, resort, players, membership.
Oh, yes. Yes, and you can even mix and match. I mean, if you want to get, let's say that if you want to practice, if it depends on who you cater for, but maybe let's say that a butterfly concept is in Palm Beach or in Florida or where that Arizona, where that a lot of professional players live. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can create this as, one wing can be resort, the other wing can be tour player, female tour players. The other wing can be as the male tour players, and really challenge each sixes. And then there's a complete 18-hole golf course where you'll have the different experiences of how a golf course is played. So yes, we can mix and match and cater for the necessities of that particular project or your end consumer.
And you mentioned Florida and Arizona, which mostly we're talking about level land, flat land, especially Florida, right? But here I live in Northern California. There's a lot of undulation everywhere. You're familiar with it. You live in California, San Diego as well. It's not just flat. Would this concept be adaptable in areas that aren't just a level course?
Yes, of course. It all depends on the land. Whenever you have, and that happens on every level, even designing a regular 18-hole golf course. When you see the land, when the land is there, and let's say that there's like, oh, we have a 500-acre piece of land. Oh, it sounds beautiful, but how's the topography? If the topography is like this, then you don't have a 500 piece of land because half of it is counts as the sheer drops and ups. And so the only thing you can use are the top parts or the middle or the valley parts. But that at the end of the day, we have 180 acres to play with. So it depends. If you have whatever 500 acres in Florida, usually you can use them all unless you're on wetland and stuff like that. Then you have like 60% wetland. Well, you're not going to use that as well. Or so it depends on environmental. It depends on your topography,
Right.
relationship. Those are the two things that are going to dictate at the end how much land you really have to play with.
Right.
So yeah, it depends. Like here in California, let's say that over there, up where we live in this, I mean, that there's a lot of ups and downs and everything. So it would probably be a bigger, on paper, we would probably have a bigger land, but it's not necessarily a bigger one. It's just that the topo map reads 500 acres, but you can only use 200.
Yeah.
Because the other ones are impossible to go in, or they're part of a park, of a national forest, so all of that starts decreasing your piece of land, especially if you want to do things right and not disturb important areas in nature.
Right. I have in mind a course that I'm sure many people have not played, TPC Danzante Bay in Mexico, in Loreto, which kind of snakes through the mountains. I mean, there's a couple of level holes there side by side, but mostly it's snaking through mountain areas. So
yes, and that was a beautiful layout by Reese Jones.
Yeah.
Beautiful layout.
And
by
then
Reese,
you come up over the top on number 17 and you're out there at the Sea of Cortez and it's like, wow, this is breathtaking. Yeah. If anyone has ever had a chance, go to this golf course.
Yes, please. Yeah. It's
Loreto. Playable. I mean, it's
halfway from San Diego to Cabo.
Right.
So,
but on the eastern side,
on the inside of the Sea of Cortez. Yeah.
See, yeah.
Exactly. Beautiful place.
I love that place. That's why we became owners in that timeshare.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. No, I love that place. So tell me, as far as the butterfly design, what's the reaction been? And are there any in design, in operation? Where are we with it?
Not yet in operation, but yes, it's and thank you for asking. I'm not going to be able to disclose on this show anyway yet, but we do have our first one in the
No one listens to this one. I wouldn't worry about that.
Love it. So we do have 3 on the on paper, and that will begin construction this year, 2024, and 2025. And so we're very proud of that because, it's kind of funny, but this is how things work. And this is how creativity is up there in the air. Great ideas are up there in the air. If you're in the right frequency with the right sensitivity, you can bring down the ideas. I mean, so it was hard to believe when we first came up with this concept of the 4 loops of 6. And that loops of 6 is not a secret. 3 loops of 6 is not a secret. But
it's not being done either.
In 500 years of golf's existence, nobody thought of 4 loops of 6 and the combinations that you have.
Right.
So it's been great. It's been a great when we pitch this to our clients. It's they love it. If they have the land, they go for it. And I've told them if you have the land, I would never design another 18-hole golf course again. I mean, let's go for the 24 because more is less.
Right.
I mean, you do 6 holes more, but you're not going to invest ever in a 27 or a 36 golf complex because you don't need to. Yes.
Right.
You have 24 golf courses right here.
Yeah.
Now, unless you're going to build 20,000 houses, that's a different thing.
It's a different
we're going to have a different volume.
Yeah.
But for a regular volume, for a regular master plan community, resort master plan community, or something like that, you're going to have 50, 70, 100 rounds a day, it's more than plenty.
Right.
More than plenty. And it's a great solution. You can come out of the 27 hole layout, 36 hole layout. It's better for the environment, better for water, better for space. It gives you still a very good housing development, but for water usage, for all of that, it is a great example of sustainability as well.
All right, one more break. We'll be back in 60 seconds. For a normal, let's just say there's a housing development being made and they're going to have 500 homes. I don't know what a housing development is. They want to put a golf course in there. How much land do you need for the golf course, the practice area, the driving range? What's required generally? I know it can't be because it can range.
Yeah, it can do whatever, and it depends on the type of on the use of the land that you have. If you can go vertical,
Right.
for a golf course, we're going to need 180, 200. Let's just round up the numbers.
Right.
200 acres.
Okay.
So, and that's the land. That doesn't mean that the golf course is going to be there. Maybe for the golf course, just for the grass, you're gonna grass 100 acres. I don't know. I'm just to round up numbers. So if you use 200, half of it per se will be grassed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now don't take this literally. This is just an exercise for whoever's listening. Maybe my grandma or something. No, just kidding. So just to round up some numbers. So that's just the lot that we need for safety precautions. So that's the corridor that you need to save the housing development from having that many golf balls hit or et cetera. You're always going to have that percentage of balls that go outside the corridors. We all know that. We've all been there.
Live there.
So windy day, more windy, et cetera, that's going to happen. So with that in mind, that's what you need for a regular 18-hole championship. That includes the driving range and short game facility and putting green.
Clubhouse, and parking lot.
And no, that's different.
Oh.
That's just the golf corridor of everything that has to do with golf.
Okay.
Yes, but you still need the back of house. You still need your maintenance facility. You still need your
Right.
clubhouse. I don't know if your clubhouse is going to be 20,000 square feet or 200 square feet or 200,000 square feet. Why? Because I don't know if you're going to need a convention center. I don't know if you're going to do weddings or not. So all of that factors in.
Right.
That's why you can't really say, it includes this, because what's the brief? What are we doing this for? We're doing this to host a PGA show every year in Orlando. Well, then your clubhouse convention center is going to be. We're going to need more land. So we're gonna cater for a PGA tour. Well, then we're going to need more land because we need hospitality. We need all the trailers. I mean, I don't know how many trailers there are out there, but every time I'm touring or I'm in some sort of tour event, there's 50 trailers out there. I mean, from television to equipment to blah, blah, blah. So
all the
you need
manufacturers,
that parking lot and then the regular parking. So that changes again. So when you ask, I mean, what is that? What are we catering for at the end of the day, Fred? You know? But for the golf course, that's what you need. And then the rest, then what are we doing? Multi-housing development, one family home development, vertical. We can go to 30 stories, 30-story building because we're right close to the city. I don't know. So that all depends. The important thing is to come up with that good factor of housing per golf, per rounds, so that we know that we're doing the right thing in regards to the business plan, and we have a successful project for our clients.
So I'm not going to ask you to be specific about anything, and if you can't even answer these questions, don't. But I'm just curious about the people that have shown interest and will be developing a butterfly type golf course. Is it the United States?
Yes, one in Europe, one in the United States, and one in Mexico.
Wow. Can you give a state in the United States?
No.
Can't even go that. Okay, then I'm done with that.
Not yet. That's what I do, so you can invite me back in
I can't
later
wait.
this year.
No. I love having you on because you really help put things in perspective. Overall, have you had pitches to potential clients, and you gave them this idea, and they're like, "No, that's silly. I don't want that."
Luckily, we don't get the silly thing. We raise eyebrows, and that's good.
That's good. They're thinking,
but it's not. But it's not in the format. It's not in the format.
See.
It's like, no. We're a little bit more conservative. We want the 18-hole golf course. Fair enough. Perfect. Or maybe sometimes we're doing a short game facility. We're working with a top tequila brand right now that we're going to do their short game, cool, sexy, short par 3 course in their hacienda for tequila, one of the top producers of tequila in the world. That you're going to love that one, but I can't disclose the name yet. But those things that we love to do, that also comes in the equation. So just to try and answer your question to maybe in another perspective with another view, we're very lucky right now, Fred, that clients that call us, they call us because they want something unique. They call us because they're looking for something cool, something sexy, something original, something that's a little bit out there, but still respecting the integrity of the game. So that's where we're at. That's our sweet spot right there. We can do traditional, yes. We love it, yes. But clients right now are calling us because of our unique approach. So that's pretty cool too.
That's very cool. Congratulations.
If we could be with all due respect to Frank Getty, if we could be the Frank Getty of golf, I'm in.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. Tell me about wellness golf. I also saw on your website you had wellness golf.
Yes, that is one of our concepts. That is our Less is More collection. And that is, something that we created 7 years ago now, 2017, where we started. I created a list of in our design studio. We're like, okay, what is golf? Everybody's talking about growing the game. Nobody's doing anything about it. What is golf? And this was in 2017. No? So while golf is intimidating, it's time consuming, it's judgmental, it's land consuming, resource consuming, blah, blah, blah. List. Okay, what can we do to counter that list? So let's create a concept that's going to call wellness golf. We're going to invite people to take their shoes off, to connect with nature, to forget about the slope, to forget about the rating, to just play primitive golf. And that's what we talked about. Primitive golf. You find the ball, you find the club. Let's go play horse. Let's have fun. Let's connect with nature. There's no scorecard. There's nothing out there. It's a short game area, short game facility where, depending on the project, we created 180-yard shots or 60-yard shots. But the important thing is for you or for us to connect with nature, to forget about golf as we know it at that time, and it's great. I mean, that is what we call wellness golf, is those types of projects that have been luckily picking up, and that you can see now all over the place. Not because of us, but funny enough, the cradle was was born at the same time as Chablais wellness golf in Mérida that we were doing, and I didn't know that the cradle was going on. So it's pretty cool that it's the again that creative those creative waves were out there in the universe, and we were thinking, of doing something different out there.
So are there places that I can ask now? It's like, can we go out and see that?
Yes, of course. You can go out and see it in La Paz, down in the Baja. Mm-hmm. We created a special place inside an area where there's an existing Gary Player course, the only Gary Player signature course in Mexico. You can play that, which is another gem out there in the Baja. And in 12 acres, we created a short game facility wellness golf course. It's great. I'll send you some pictures. And also in Mérida, Yucatan, in the Yucatan Peninsula, in one of the most important and best spa resorts in the world, we have our another wellness golf there. And we created a golf lounge, the Pit, which you've probably seen. And we're working on special projects right now, very original and unique, which I'll soon send you some pictures as well.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Mexico. I have had heated debates with people about Mexico versus Hawaii, and I feel like I win every time. So, so now we know that there's actually great golf there too.
Yes,
that also competes with Hawaii.
Especially if we're talking about these wellness golf resorts, that it's golf that you can take your family, because that was the whole point. Mm-hmm. Time restrictions, etc. I mean, these are designed to play in 90 minutes. So perfect. If you're there with your significant other and they're at the spa for 90 minutes or a couple of hours, nobody's going to miss you when you're out there on the golf course for 90 minutes. That's the whole point. Part of the point is that these trips that you can take to these specific concepts, nobody's going to miss you for 90 minutes.
Perfect. Augie, it's so great to talk to you. Again, it's Piza Golf. Piza Golf, and it's PizaGolf.com to learn more about their design and everything that he's doing. The innovation is off the charts when it comes to golf course architecture.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And any Instagram followers at Piza Golf, and we're there. Interact, send us some questions, and we're on it. Thank you very much, friend. Really appreciate it.
Well, I got a great story about this week's Golf Smarter ambassador, Royce Kossoff from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he plays at McCall Golf Club. Royce is a longtime listener who even wrote a very kind review for Golf Smarter on Apple Podcasts back in 2017. But more interestingly, Royce was so taken by hearing Jim Waldron on the podcast that he actually flew out west to Portland, Oregon to take 2 days of one-on-one lessons with Jim. And that's after doing Zoom lessons with Jim for 3 years. So then Royce wrote and said about his time face-to-face with Jim, quote, "Absolutely life-changing. Empty your mind and listen to everything he says, and you will be saved." Wow. And that's why we have Jim on regularly. And now Royce is officially a Golf Smarter ambassador. Well, why don't you become one of our ambassadors? Then you can take advantage of getting a free gift. If you aren't comfortable recording a show opening, and that's been said to me, that's fine. But there's another way to get a choice of these 3 great gifts. Just leave a review for Golf Smarter like Royce did wherever you listen. Then send me the text of the review you wrote and where you wrote it. Or, like Royce, you can record an episode opening on your phone or on our toll-free listener line. I'm trying to make it so easy for you. And then you can choose one of those gifts, which includes Tony Manzoni's video of the Lost Fundamental. Royce took advantage of the glove and glove storage compartment from redroostergolf.com. And your third choice is an 8-pack of Flight Path golf tees at flightpathgolf.com. Just write me directly with your review or request to do a show opening, and I'll send you some simple instructions on how to record. Check out today's show notes to find links about each gift you have to choose from, and When you check out the show notes, you'll also see the summary and the bullet points provided by AI. If you have any questions, comments, especially about how to get a free gift, or maybe you have a suggestion for an upcoming episode, write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com or click on the Hey Fred button when you visit golfsmarter.com.